We are back. 12 months ago, the title fight came down to the wire in wine country at the virtual Sonoma Raceway. Johan Harth and John Robertson, the Yokohama teammates, dueled it out for title honors, but it was the Frenchman Harth that took victory with a 4th place finish to secure his name as the 2020 iRacing IRX World Championship presented by Yokohama. 28 of the finest drivers are ready to go once more, and we kick things off with a special pre-show. Hello and welcome to coverage on iRacing Live. My name is Arjuna Kankipati, delighted to be joined by Paul Smith, with Tyler Maxon down in the production truck controlling all the action. Paul, Rallycross is a contact sport when it comes to motorsports. Contact is the name of the game, and I cannot wait to get going this season. 9 unique venues will welcome drivers across the globe as they fight for their share of $25,000.
Yeah, I'm certainly looking forward to this. I'm really enthused by what we're going to be seeing ahead of us in this World Championship, and having commentated on that epic championship battle last season, I'm really looking forward to seeing what these drivers can pull out this time.
It's a schedule that's going to take us from the World Center of Racing all the way to Charlotte Motor Speedway, America's home of racing, across 9 consecutive weeks. Let's take a look at the schedule. And for the first time, Paul, 9 unique venues. The previous 3 seasons have seen return visits to some of these tracks, yes, with alternate layouts, but it does mean unique challenges from week to week, and even series veterans, the like of Johan Harth and Josh Fox, who are 3-time competitors, now returning for their 4th campaign in the IRX World Championship. There's lots for them to still learn.
Yes, absolutely, and a couple of them that I'm looking forward to this time around. Brands Hatch, brand new to the championship. It's certainly going to be a real challenge for those drivers. And Charlotte Motor Speedway, what a venue to finish this championship on as well, on November the 17th. And yeah, these drivers, some venues that they're not used to, it's going to be a real challenge for them to fight that out there on track.
No British bias there, Paul. None whatsoever. The season will start with 3 consecutive races on the American side of the pond: Daytona, Atlanta, and Iowa, the first 3 races. Then we head to one of the newest tracks, Brands Hatch, before the second one of our new tracks. That's the Circuit de Barcelona, Catalunya. That's a track that, of course, has seen plenty of action in the real world in rallycross action. Hell Lankenbahn, Phoenix Raceway, Sonoma, and Charlotte to round things off. Let's take a look then at our point structure, and for those who watched on in 2020, very, very familiar. Heat racing, the name of the game, but points awarded all the way from the start. And qualifying, Paul, not just important for getting you those qualifying points, which can be crucial in a 9-race championship, but setting yourself up for those heat races, putting yourself in a good position to make it directly to the feature, not having to go through the consolation races.
Yeah, how many times did we see last season that the people who qualified fastest ended up being so strong in both the heats and the features, and it really sets them up for a really good week of points haul. That's the name of the game here in this championship, but if you get that qualifying, if you get first place, it just gets you on a nice momentum for the rest of that round.
And it also is crucial to look at these points, because only in one season has we really seen the title race be blown wide open. That was when Sami Matti Trogan won in 2019. Last year, the title decided by just 3 points. What are these drivers fighting for? Well, their share of $25,000. Our series champion will take home $10,000, all the way down to, I think it was $200 for 10th place in this championship. There's also some awards on the table for these drivers. We've got the Rookie of the Year, Most Improved Driver of the Year. It'll be interesting to see how our returning veterans can do. Hard Charger, always great to see how people can rocket their way up the field, with starts being such an important factor in rallycross action. But the Pole Award, always great to see who goes fast when the pressure is on, Paul.
Yeah, it's... With everything that is involved in the World Championship, it just ramps up that pressure, ramps up how much these drivers are going to have to fight for things out there. You may have qualified and had it relatively easy, but when you get to this level, everybody is at such a high level that you really have to extract everything out of it. And I'm glad that we've got, once again, the pole award. Really good to see that back. And then, of course, the Rookie of the Year, Most Improved. I mean, that's really just speaks for itself. And the hard charger, who is it that comes through the field and gives it their all? I'm certainly looking forward to see how that affects things in the racing this season.
And well, 28 drivers, 11 rookies, so it'll be very fascinating to see how they got on. And we were talking about this just before we came on air, Paul. We're both not young when it comes to iRacing terms. There's some older drivers, veterans if you will, 38 years of age, the oldest driver. Then there's, incredibly, a rookie class that includes drivers of just 13 years of age. We've seen what some of these drivers in previous years have been able to do, not necessarily in Rallycross, but the likes of Sebastian Job, who debuted on the World Championship stage at a similar age, now a Porsche Tag Car Esports Super Cup champion. The 13-year-olds, the 14-year-olds, they're going to be looking to put the pressure on the veteran counterparts.
Yeah, I thought I felt old when I was commentating on John Robertson last year, but then with these young guns coming in even younger, my goodness, no wonder I've got the grey hairs coming through in the beard. But yeah, it's great to see. And this is what you want to see. You want to see the younger drivers come through, push these more experienced drivers, force them to try new things and to really be on the edge. And it's great to see that youthful exuberance coming into the championship here.
And one of the interesting things that we saw last year, Paul, was the emergence of new teams. It wasn't necessarily the sim teams that were represented. We had real-world teams and real-world brands being represented in this Rallycross Championship. Always great to have that being thrown into the mix. And again, it returns for 2021.
Yeah, it's great to see the support that these brands are bringing out all of the championship, and you know, to have the likes of Nitro Circus and Jim Beaver, it's great to have them along here supporting this championship once again.
Well, I tell you what, the entry list has been kept shrouded in mystery until here today on this preseason show, where we get to reveal the teams and their drivers for 2021. Representing the famed blue and gold of Subaru Motorsports USA is the reigning defending iRacing Rallycross World Champion, the Frenchman Johan Harth, with a familiar teammate in John Robertson. The two drivers combined to finish 1 and 2 in 2020, claiming the team championship for Team Yokohama. They're aiming for a similar result this year, but have stiff competition to overcome once more, while Harth will be on double duty, also competing in the Force Dynamic Dallara iRacing Grand Prix Championship. With Harth and Robertson moving on, it's a brand new driver lineup for Team Yokohama. It's an all-Norwegian affair for the Japanese tire manufacturer, but they'll have the returning Sindre Silva looking to build on his 22nd spot in 2020, and series rookie Thomas Wangen, who at the young old age of 35 years old is ready to prove age is just a number. These two drivers, very familiar with one another, they work together to qualify themselves for this championship. Earlier in 2020, the famed Rahal Letterman Lanigan took a step into esports by partnering with the Apex Racing team in the Porsche Tag Car Esports Super Cup. The two joined forces once more to make an attack on the IRX Championship with a driver that took victory for the red and black in that Porsche 911 Cup car and now looks to make his mark on a new championship, Kevin Ellis Jr., who takes on a new challenge with the always Jake Robertson, who aims to continue his momentum from a 9th place finish in 2020. Set Esports are back, and in a big way. After Tommy Holman and Joni Ollikainen combined for 4 wins last year, both drivers enter the new campaign with one goal on their mind: the championship. Both drivers have real-world experience, with Holman coming off a title-winning campaign in Supercars Light in the 2021 Rally X Nordic Series. The two friends look to push each other forward and propel Set Esports to the championship this year. It's not just one Set entry though, but once more they partner with Gronholm RX to put forward 2 more cars to the iRacing Rallycross Championship, with both the Frenchman Kylian Delormeau and the flying Finn Rasmus Toivonen returning for GRX Set Esports. Toivonen has plenty of real-world credentials to his name, including the 2019 RX Academy title and a podium in the Super 1600 European Championships in 2020. Can he lead this second Set team to new heights? Logitech Altus Esports have a new headquarters in the Altus team house, and it is from there that Bo Albert will embark on his campaign for redemption after a tough 2020. He'll be joined by one of the newest members of the Altus contingent, the Spanish driver Luis Nunez. With 4 appearances in the 2021 IRX All-Star Invitational, Nunez is looking to make his mark on the World Championship scene. Garrett Maines was one of the most improved drivers in 2020, and he returns for 2021 with series newcomers Elliott Sadler Esports. Maines drives for this outfit in the eNASCAR Coca-Cola Series and is joined by another eNASCAR competitor who returns for 2021, Vicente Salas. Both drivers impressed in their rookie eNASCAR campaign, with Salas leading the duo to a 1-2 finish at the Richmond Raceway. Can either of them slide their way into victory lane? One of the most familiar names in Rallycross currently is back for 2021 as Hanson Williams Esports pairs up a series veteran with the youngest driver on the grid. Josh Fox was in the title fight in 2018 and is looking to challenge once more, but he'll be teamed with the 13-year-old Jarno Leskinen. Leskinen has plenty of good mentors to rely on, including the 2019 champ Sami Matti Trogan. Can he become the youngest winner in World Championship history? Parker Kligerman has become a popular figure in the iRacing community, and his esports outfit is back for 2021. The returning Marco Matamoros is paired with series rookie Quintin Dalomo to make their assault on the championship. Matamoros is one of just 7 drivers this year to have competed in multiple IRX seasons, while Dalomo brings national cross-karting titles to the table and looks to convert that into virtual glory. Ed Carpenter Racing is more known for their efforts in American open-wheel competition, but Team America brings an international lineup in 2021. 9-year eNASCAR veteran Matt Bussa teams with the Frenchman Louis Lejeune. Bussa looks to balance playoff and title hopes in this year's eNASCAR campaign with a busy IRX schedule, while Lejeune aims to impress on his debut at the top level of the iRacing service. The grid is graced by iRacing royalty. Alex Bergeron is the 3-time iRacing World of Outlaws Sprint Car Champion and one of just 2 drivers to have run in World Championships across 4 disciplines on the iRacing service. He now looks to become the first driver to win titles in multiple disciplines for the returning Jim Beaver Esports. His teammate has just as impressive a resume. Tony Latinmaki brings 9 Finnish national titles in real-world competition to the series. Jim Beaver will be one to watch in 2021. Nitro Circus brings its flamboyance back to the iRacing service as they kick off a new era in Rallycross in full metal action. Otto Taskinen is one of just 6 drivers with a previous victory in IRX competition, and with 2 seasons without a single penalty point, Taskinen looks to cement his name as one of the cleanest drivers in the series. Joining the Finn is the Canadian Luke Krause. Krause got a run out in the last 4 years of 2020 and looks to kick on in his first full-time campaign. Joining forces for 2021, both in real-world and virtual competition, are Gronholm RX and Lonebro Motorsports. They'll have the oldest driver lineup in the field, with the 38-year-old Johannes Vahanen and the 37-year-old Tommy Nukarainen looking to teach the youngsters that experience reigns supreme. Both are relative newcomers to the iRacing service, but look to balance family life with going fast for GRX Lonebro Motorsports. From the oldest driver pairing to the youngest, Vermont Sports Car joins the rank of the iRacing Rallycross Championship with a driver lineup full of talent. Jacob Raffos just missed out on qualifying for the 2020 World Championship, but has worked his way into the series in 2021 after impressive showings in the 2021 All-Star Invitational. Alongside is Atu Hakaleta, who at just 14 years of age brings a resume filled with real-world experience. A CRG factory driver in karting with plans to step up to international competition in 2022. His first focus before testing out the likes of Formula 4 and Porsche 911 Cup cars is a IRX championship. 14 teams, 28 drivers, and my oh my, Paul, it's a field that I cannot wait to see get racing this coming Wednesday from the World Center of Racing.
Absolutely, it's a tremendously talented field out there. It wouldn't be a World Championship Series if they weren't talented, that's for sure. But, you know, there's plenty of people who can win races and set their sights on winning a world championship out there. That's what's brilliant about Rallycross. The fact that you've got a number of drivers that you just can't pick who is going to be champion this season, and it's what makes it such an exciting series.
And before we take a chance to talk to the drivers, let's get some predictions, and just not predictions but thoughts here. I really think the Subaru Motorsports pairing of Harth and Robertson, they were so consistent and so strong last year, Paul. I think they're going to be pretty tough to beat, but Set Esports, especially with the likes of Tommy Horman and Joni Ollikainen, 4 victories for them in 9 races last year. I think the 4 drivers there really are going to put on a show for us here.
They certainly could, that's for sure. I mean, Johan Harty, he finally got himself a championship after having that opportunity just a couple of years ago as well. So he showed that he can get that championship win. I think Robertson being paired with him, yes, they finished first and second. He will be disappointed with how last season finished for him, and he wants to come back with redemption in mind and try and get himself that world championship. So I think we're going to see quite the battle between the 2 Subaru Motorsports drivers there. But as I say, you can look throughout this grid and throw a dart at a dartboard and pick a champion. It's that close.
Robertson, when I was speaking to him earlier in the week, just building up to this coming Wednesday, said he wasn't necessarily disappointed about that final race at Sonoma, more disappointed in throwing away good points earlier in the season. So consistency is always key. Before we talk to these drivers, though, we're going to step away for just a few minutes. Don't go anywhere. We're talking to the grid after this.
In 2018, Nitro Rallycross took the racing world by storm with the biggest jumps.
That is what Travis was hoping for.
The best drivers. And the most intense action ever.
Come up the inside of Ken. We've got 3 cars.
In 2021, Nitro Rallycross is expanding with 5 epic races across North America. Designed by Travis Pastrana, each brand new, purpose-built course will be the biggest, fastest, and craziest the sport has ever seen. From the mountains to the Great Lakes, the desert, and the Sunshine State, Nitro Rallycross is coming to a racetrack near you.
Oh, and that goes sideways over the jumpy spins. Maybe there was contact on the way in. Block, unbelievable. Wow, it's like they're launching out of a machine gun.
Nitro Rallycross, the series, revving up and taking off this September.
Today's new cars have upwards of 100 computers in them, and a dashboard rivaled only by a commercial airliner. But wouldn't it be nice to really know what all that does for you? At Roadshow, we demystify the world of modern transportation with reviews of your next car, the latest news on what's changing the industry, and videos covering every screen and every new feature you'll encounter in the driver's seat. Get informed, get smart, and get going with Roadshow.
The teams have been announced for the 2021 iRacing Rallycross World Championship presented by Yokohama. Next up then in our preseason show, it's time to talk to the drivers themselves and get their thoughts heading into this Wednesday and our season opener from the Daytona International Speedway, the World Center of Racing. Before we do that though, Paul, let's just take the time to preview what Rallycross is all about. Contact, I said it before, the name of the game, but it's also one of the few disciplines in motorsports where I think consistency is very much underrated, because working your way across the gravel, working yourself through the dirt, it is all about understanding how the track evolves over the course of the race weekend and making sure you're on top of all those changes.
Yeah, absolutely, and you said the word right there, consistency. You need to be getting consistent points throughout the championship to be able to get yourself to become world champion. And yes, it is a contact sport. There's no sort of penalties for pushing your way through. That's the nature of rallycross. It's a hard, fast-paced sport, and we get to see the best of it here on iRacing. And these drivers, they are absolutely tremendous, and they'll be giving it absolutely everything out there.
Well, let's kick off then this preseason interview with the reigning defending world champion, Johan Harth. Johan, you are very busy at this point in time, not only looking to defend your title, but competing in the Force Dynamic Dallara iRacing Grand Prix Championship. Talk to us about what this winter is really going to hold for you, because it's back-to-back the races. Wednesday is Rallycross, Thursday is the IRO1, the open-wheel behemoth that you're having to tame and master. It must be very difficult for you to jump back and forth across the two of them.
Oh yeah, first of all, thanks for having me, guys. It's always a pleasure to talk with you, and yeah, well, as you mentioned, that's gonna be a super busy 2 or 3 months for me. Gonna be jumping back and forth between, well, those 2 cars that you mentioned, and then I've got my work as well for the Apex Racer Academy, so yeah, gonna be spending a lot of time on the rig.
How excited are you to represent a manufacturer like Subaru Motorsports USA? I don't know about you, but I grew up watching the blue and gold racing in rally, stage rally, and to see it now in Rallycross and to see it come to the sim as well is always special. And I'm sure even if you didn't grow up watching it, you understand just how important this responsibility is for you and your teammate John Robertson.
Yeah, I grew up as well watching them, and yeah, it's a legendary paint really. That's a huge opportunity. We missed out on it last year. I was kind of annoyed about it because I really wanted to represent Subaru, but yeah, we got it finally this year, and I'm really excited to get started.
And I do have to ask you, I mean, you mentioned the teammate John Robertson for a second. What about the other teammates that you have competing this year in the World Championship? Jake Robertson, but also Kevin Ellis Jr. And I know for someone who is new to Rallycross, I'm sure you've been helping him out very much, and it'll be good to have all 4 of you working together, building yourself towards a World Championship hunt once more. Yeah,
Kevin is going to be a big help this year. Well, you've seen him in Porsche already. He's a super hard worker, so really excited to have him around. Going to be an extra force, and it might make the difference at the end of the year.
And so for you, but before we let you go and to just decompress from the test race that you guys all did, the preseason showdown, what are your thoughts going into the season? Of course, being the defending champion comes with its own weight, a target on your back as well. Consistency has been something that I think you've been focusing on, I'm sure, over the off-season. You're also been focusing on qualifying. You're one of the more consistent qualifiers across the 3 seasons, I should say, of IRX that you've competed in. Your overall average starting position has been 5th across 28 races.
Yeah, just said consistency is going to be key. Sounds boring, but that's all it's gonna be about. So yeah, it's gonna be all about qualifying in the feature for every race, and I'm pretty sure if you manage to make it, you're gonna have a shot in the last race.
Thanks for joining us, Johan, and we'll see you then in action in the blue and gold this coming Wednesday for Subaru Motorsports USA.
Thanks for having me.
From the defending series champion, let's make our way to a driver who we were very impressed with last year. Tommy Holman for Set Esports is standing by with Paul Smith.
So Tommy, 3rd place last time out in this World Championship. You must be setting your sights a bit higher up the field this time around.
Yeah, for sure. I think this year we have done the homeworks much better than last year, and the base is there for sure. So now just need to avoid all the chaos and mistakes, and I think we will end up quite high.
And you know, You've got that experience now. You've been in the championship 2 years. This is your 3rd year in this championship. You're still relatively young, although looking at some of the grid, you're actually one of the older drivers. You must be able to take some of that experience, some of that knowledge that you have now of how the racing is here in this championship to really look at fighting for that championship win.
Yeah, I think generally in Rallycross the experience really helps, because you need to see where to be at the right time to avoid all the chaos, as I said. So, and also, you know, you don't need to push maximum all the time. You need to be consistent on every lap, and obviously need to be fast, but you need to be clever, and also with the choke lap strategies and everything, so experience helps really much there.
And of course, yourself and Joni in Set Esports once again. Tremendous outfit, and you're looking to work together as a team. You must be absolutely delighted to be working together once again in Set Esports.
Yeah, obviously, we are a really good team with Jonna, and we talk a lot also outside racing, and actually we did one Rally X Nordic race as teammates this year with Supercar Lights, and we ended up P1 and P2, so it wasn't too bad in real life also. So really looking forward for the season with Jonna, and I think we are going to be a really, really strong team.
And would you say that experience in the real world, you can transfer some of that across to the simulated world?
Yeah, for sure, it helps a lot, because always, no matter what racing you do, it always helps and you get the experience. And obviously now we are doing rallycross on real life and in the iRacing, so it's like ideal for both. It helps both. iRacing helps real life, and real life helps iRacing. So I think I'm really disappointed if I'm not fighting for the title this year. I'm really thinking that we are going to be strong this year.
Well, Tommy, we wish you all the best for the season here, and thank you very much for joining us here on this preview show.
Thanks.
So that was Tommy Holman, and we mentioned Rahal, Lederman, Lanigan. 3 letters synonymous with IndyCar competition, but they've made their way to esports. Kevin Ellis Jr. got to represent the famed red and black earlier in 2021 in a Porsche 911 Cup car. Now those colors adorn the Subaru WRX STI, and Kevin Ellis Jr. joins us right now. Kevin, delighted to have you here to talk about the season. Delighted to see you taking on a new challenge as well, because you and I were talking just a couple of days ago. You're now a full-time sim racer, so once the Porsche Taycan Esports Super Cup came to an end, you needed something to fill your time, and what better than a new challenge in rallycross competition?
Yeah, exactly. As you say, something new and something to kind of push myself, and rallycross was kind of the #1 thing that I could think of. Obviously, with last year's success, you know, it's a bit of a no-brainer to hop in and try and help the guys secure a double championship, try and continue on what we built last year. But you know, even for myself, you know, coming in, I want to be able to be competing for races. I don't just want to be another one making up the numbers and just being purely a support role. Obviously, I want to be up there, you know, competing against John and Johan and Jake, and obviously hopefully beating them as well in a few races. But you know, an extra body to help get stuck in. Obviously, the Set Esport guys even tonight looked really, really strong as we expected. So I suspect it's going to be a really tough battle between us and them. You know, I reckon Bull will be up there as well, and maybe a couple others. You know, when it comes down to it. So you know, it's not going to be easy. There's going to be a good 5 or 6 guys that we need to try and, you know, are going to be right on us every single week minimum. So we just got to keep on pushing, keep our heads down, and try and repeat what we've done last year.
And you're a driver, Kevin, who really does embrace multiple challenges. We've seen you compete in IndyCar races, the iRacing Indy 500, got the victory earlier this year in the red and black for the Rahal, Lederman, Lanigan team in that Porsche World Championship Series. You and I talked, and you said there's one thing you want to do, which is push your way to victory lane. And in this sort of competition, contact is very much more regular than it is maybe expected in the previous World Championships you've been a part of. Is that something you've had to kind of transition over to, getting your elbows out and becoming a bit more used to being aggressive?
Yeah, it's definitely been a bit of a culture shock. You know, it's not normal that you go into a corner and expect to get a little nudge from the rear, but you know, these cars can take a fair bit of contact. Obviously, sometimes things go a little bit wrong, which is to be expected. You know, that first lap of even tonight, you know, this is just a test race. There's nothing really on the line, and things were pretty tight. But you know, everyone seemed to have their heads screwed on for the most part. It was pretty clean. So yeah, it's just it's really, really tough, you know, in rallycross to try and position the car, because obviously there's an extra kind of dynamic with sliding the car, trying to get the right angle, the right speed, visibility with the added dust as well. It's really, really tough to see when you're behind 5-6 cars. On road, it's a little bit easier in that sense. You haven't got that added difficulty of sliding. So yeah, no, the first laps are going to be really tough. I'm going to be doing plenty of practice to make sure, obviously, I'm on top of my game for that one, and that I make the right decisions, because the decisions you make at the start of the race are going to have a massive effect come the end of the race, and that's really what's going to make a difference come the end of the championship.
And you talked about the momentum and expectations that were built up last year with that very successful campaign. No better teachers than Johan Harth, John Robertson, Jake Robertson, and all the crew that you guys have at Apex Racing Team, now partnered with RLL. Rate them on 10. How good were they at giving you that advice to push you forward as you took to this new challenge?
I'd probably say a 9 out of 10. I didn't win the Pro Series, so that's the only sad thing that I really had about it. But no, I mean, to even be where I was in the Pro qualifiers was a surprise to me. I was expecting to be kind of just about scraping through. But yeah, we got off to a great start at round 1. I had great help from John, Johan, and Jake to obviously use the World Championship setups, tweak them a little bit just for my liking, and then obviously having Johan on the box to call the jokers and just kind of keep me calm and let me know what to do and when to do it. It was a massive help. I don't think I would have been able to achieve half of what I did so far without those guys. So, obviously going to try and build on that a bit more now that there's all 4 of us really pushing every single week now. I expect to make some more gains as well and try and close the gap to Johan and stuff at the front. So, I'm just really excited to get going. The guys have done a mega job of kind of filling me in. I was around last year, so I kind of know roughly what to do, but in terms of actually driving, those guys are giving me some mega info that will come in clutch this year.
Well, finished second in that qualifying championship. Very much looking to see you get underway this week, Kevin, and good luck for the rest of the season.
Thanks very much, guys.
So that was Kevin Ellis Jr. for Rahal Letterman Lanigan. God, I just made the same mistake that you did, Paul, earlier this year. But I tell you what, I mentioned the new headquarters for Altus Down Under, and Bo Albert is ready in that house. Paul Smith, take it away.
Yeah, so Bo, your second year in the iRacing Rallycross World Championship, you, how shall I say, it wasn't the best start to your life in the Rallycross World Championship last time out, that's for sure, but you'll be hoping to maybe have a better start to the season, if nothing else.
Well, actually, it's almost the other way around. It was a great start. It was everything that happened after the start where it went quite wrong, obviously. There was a number of things. It was a big learning experience for me last year in the World Championship. Definitely got thrown around a little bit. Had definitely my fair share of bad moments as well, just inexperience and also just brain fades as well. So a lot of preparations going on in the last 12 months to make sure that we're back on our game this time, because we did fall off where I think we really should have been last year. So in a new car this year, new environment here in the Altus house, which is a fantastic facility that we're still improving every single day. I'm feeling so much better prepared for 2021.
Well, how much has that made a change for yourself then, to be able to prepare full-time for a World Championship rather than, say, mixing it between time for work and then having to find that time to spend the hours of practice? How has that made a difference for you this time around?
Oh, it's a massive difference from everything from just your actual driving preparation to your actual data analysis, your telemetry analysis, and mental preparation as well. You're able to just focus on one thing only and make the most of it. Because obviously last year I was working a 40-hour-a-week job during the World Championship Series, and it was extremely early morning for me as well. So I couldn't really afford to ruin my sleep schedule to prepare for a World Championship because I had work to focus on as well. So I was totally thrown around. But this year, like I say, I can focus on everything so much more. I can get my sleep schedule in the right place so I can warm up properly. I can be mentally ready for these races. And then, even in the week leading up with the practice, I can do the laps. I've got the time. I have no excuse not to do the preparation. I can do all the data analysis I want. I can do so much more with myself. And that's, I think, a big reason why I am feeling better than ever for this year. And, from just little things we've seen from what other teams are running, we're feeling very, very good about ourselves.
I was going to say, so you're setting really big, high aspirations for yourself for this championship then?
I wouldn't say the highest aspirations, but we're definitely aiming high. So I think if we're not in the top 10 of the championship, it can only be considered a failure. And that is the honest truth for me. It needs to be top 10 of the championship, but even then, that's not enough. I want to be making sure I'm in the top 5. I want to make sure that, I came painfully close last year to winning a race at Lunkbanen. I want redemption. I want at least one win this year as well. So there is high aspirations, but whether or not we can turn that into a title challenge, I'm not sure just yet. We'll have to wait and see.
Well, but all the best for you, and enjoy the facilities that your house now affords you, and all the best for the season.
Cheers, guys. All the best.
So sorry, that was Bo Albert. One more interview to get to. Really love the concept of a team house, and clearly Albert is feeling refreshed and rejuvenated by being able to fully immerse himself into the world of sim racing. But a driver with big shoes to fill is Sindre Silva, now jumping into the Team Yokohama camp. Paul Smith is standing by.
Yeah, so Sindre then, second year of the championship, just like Bo that we spoke to as well. How are you looking forward to this season? Do you feel that you're more prepared? Has that last year really helped you focus and know what you can get out of the car?
Yeah, for sure. Last year gave me a lot of experience, for sure. Experience that I will be glad to have into this year of the campaign. But we will see. As you said, it's big shoes to fill. But we will try to push whatever we can to make it a good year, for sure.
And of course, yeah, it's a big team in Team Yokohama that you're joining, and you've got a great teammate in Thomas Wangen as well. How excited are you to have that partnership here this year?
I worked with Thomas for a long time, almost over a year. We've been teammates before, so it's a good partnership. I think we can manage to do something for sure.
And of course, you've been competing in the real world as well with Bill Cross. So have you found that sort of helps keep your competitive juices going and keeping prepared for this championship?
That for sure. I think it's the other way around. I think it's sim racing has helped me a lot in Bill Cross. So I think it's like a mix in there. But for sure, it helps me stay sharp. Get a lot of driving time, both in sim and real life. So sure, it helps a little bit.
And goals for this year? What is the target for you then? What would be a success for you?
That's a tough question. I think a top 10 would for sure be over the moon for me. It was a tough year last year. Couldn't quite manage to get out of the heats and the LCQs. So if we make some finals, for sure, top 10 would be a huge opportunity to get. And but I think just getting a better result than last year, because last year was not perfect for me at all. So just try to get better.
Well, all the best for the coming season, and I hope it goes well and you get into those finals this year. But thank you very much for joining us here on the show.
Thank you, guys.
So great to get an insight from 5 of the drivers. And now let's get an insight from the man that helped put all of this together. There is the voice of Chris Leone, series director. Chris, great to have you on this preseason show. And this is a world championship that has gone from strength to strength. In its 4th season of competition now, 28 of the best sim racers on the iRacing service. I think this grid is the strongest it's ever been, and we're heading to 9 different venues for the first time in series history. Just how excited are you to see how far this series has come because of all of the hard work that you and the team at iRacing have been putting together?
Hey guys, appreciate you taking the time to have me on. I mean, sorry if you're getting a lot of background noise. It's the computer I'm on. It is basically running like it's gone through every final throughout the entire year without a single repair job. But yeah, we are. We have been just busting our tails over the past few years on this championship. Before I even got to iRacing, but the past couple of years with the slow creep in of some real world teams, and then eventually the addition of, you know, the franchise model and more tracks and real tracks, and I mean, we've had so many cool things going on with this championship, and I can't thank everybody enough who's been involved. Certainly some of the pro sim racing teams who have been very patient with me over the past couple of years as we've tried to just kind of build this thing up. And we had a massive spike in viewership last year, and for really good reason. The racing was some of the best it's ever been. I think the field is now as strong as it's ever been. We've got a lot of great rookies, some awesome crossover drivers, Kevin Ellis, Alex Bergeron, guys who have come over into this series that have had success elsewhere. Matt Busa running full-time while he's going for an eNASCAR title. I mean, we've got such a cool lineup, such a great group of teams, great sponsors. I got my Dirtfish hat on. I got my lovely Yokohama stickers here. Can't thank them enough for all that they've done to support this series. The 14 teams that are involved, I mean, we've got such a cool lineup, and I cannot wait for Wednesday to finally get round 1 off the ground.
And it's not just the championship that's been growing, but Rallycross on the iRacing service is in a really strong place right now. We have a ladder system that lets people who are new to this discipline get their sea legs, if you will. The Beetle light car that I think really makes a difference for those who are not necessarily used to getting on the dirt and really going sideways and going fast. How important has it been to get that ladder going, to build up that participation? It all culminated in a standalone qualifying series this year. Just one chance for these drivers every week to get the points they needed to work themselves into the World Championship ranks.
Oh, it's been important beyond words. And I mean, I think we learned a lot about that World Championship qualifying series, that we needed to break some eggs to make an omelet. And if I had $1 for every time I've said that about this series, then I would probably be retired and not be running it anymore. But yeah, that ladder has just been super, super important. It's so awesome what our engineers, what our vehicle developers did creating the Beetle Light. It's the same thing that they did with the Pro 2 truck, where basically they just cut the horsepower, and it's okay, you want to learn some of these skills, you're going to learn them at a lower speed, you're going to learn them you've got to be more precise. You can't just slam on the gas the way that you might be able to sometimes with a 600 horsepower supercar and just pull out of your mistakes. You really need to learn car control. You really need to start kind of from the beginning up, and having that proper ladder in dirt road is just so crucial. It's something we've worked super hard towards. It's awesome, all of the people who have been involved in that. What's funny is that it's been a lot of other people actually within iRacing that have really taken up the mantle in growing that dirt road ladder. Greg West has been integral in that. Our developers creating the Beetle Light, all of those folks, they've really been the ones who have built that ladder, and we've just been the very fortunate beneficiaries of that in the World Championship, because we've seen some drivers who have come up through this ladder and are now World Championship drivers for the first time. We've got a nice big rookie class of some really talented drivers, some drivers who have been pretty new on the service, and it's going to be super exciting to see how they all fare, and it's going to be super exciting in the future to see how drivers move up the ranks from rookie to D to C to B, and then the World Championship.
And I'm glad you mentioned the trucks there, because it's not just Rallycross, but the dirt road landscape has been really fleshed out over the last 12 months. Of course, the trucks and the various tracks that come with those Pro 2 and Pro 4 trucks. But one of the coolest things that I think iRacing has done in the past 2 years, if you ask me, has been the addition of the Mount Washington Auto Road, the chance for the engineers to try something different, really work on some things which will benefit the entire service. And I know you must be pretty excited. You got to have Travis Pastrana come down, get some practice runs at the iRacing HQ, and then you got to see him in action at the real track itself just a couple of days later.
So I'm pretty sure that I peaked that week in life, and it's probably all downhill from here, right? But that's okay. That's why we built a downhill layout to Mount Washington, not just the uphill, right? But yeah, it's been awesome to have something different on the service like that. I mean, as most people know about my career, I started in Rallycross, but now I work within off-road racing. I do a lot of coverage of certainly short course and desert racing, and that's kind of been, kind of a pet cause for me, if you will, where it's been super important to me to see as much truck content as we can possibly get. We've added Crandon, we've added Bark River on the short course side, and Mount Washington was terrific. Travis spent a day in the office with us to talk about that, to get some experience there, and Travis will admit to you that he is not the world's greatest sim racer, that one of his advantages in the real world is that he's willing to take risks that other people are not, and that gets mitigated sometimes a little bit in sim racing. Well, we put Travis in the motion rig, and an hour later, he had tied his record on Mount Washington. First time he had seen it in the sim, first time he had been able to, therefore, drive it basically in any regard in years and years. So, you know, it was super helpful to him. I think he beat the record by about 16 seconds that weekend when he was able to make the couple of passes up the mountain in the Air Slayer STI. So it was really cool just to be even a small part of that for us at iRacing. But now, you know, the climb to the clouds tends to be a, I think it's every 3 years that they normally run that event. But now you can just come on iRacing and you can run up the mountain anytime you want. I'm hoping it's the first of many, selfishly, because as you guys know, that's my world, that's what I love, that's where I come from. But it's a lot of fun. It's been a lot of fun to see just how people have annihilated those times. I got one replay from Tommy Makinen, who was actually in IRX last year, that he hit 5 minutes flat. And I got to get somebody to film that replay because I have no idea how he pulled that off. I don't think... I don't know that you could manage that in the real world. I am beyond impressed with the time that he put up. And, God, what a name, first of all, right? He's not related to that Tommy Makinen, the WRC champion, but certainly living up to his name, being able to get up the mountain that fast. So I wanted to give Tommy a little shout out here because he's an IRX graduate, if you will, having run this series. But yeah, we've had so much cool dirt road stuff coming through the pipeline. There are certainly things to come, as there are with any discipline in iRacing. There are certainly things that I'm going to advocate for in the near future. I mean, if you know my background, I've worked a lot with UTVs, and I am absolutely not promising anything, but I'm certainly going to ask for one, right? They're such fun little things to drive, and we've got so much potential as an organization in everything that's been going on. We've been lucky enough to have just such great growth service-wide over the past couple of years, and certainly Rallycross has been a huge beneficiary of that on the World Championship level with the teams getting involved. Again, can't thank all 14 franchises, our sponsors, everybody enough. Certainly iRacing for putting their faith in me to not run this thing into the ground. It's been such a fun time, and I still think that the best is yet to come across the board.
Well, one more question and we'll let you go. Great to have the All-Stars back as well. It always builds that excitement, builds the intrigue before you see sim racing's finest heading out onto the track. What are you hoping for when it comes to that? Because, of course, Nitro Circus and the Rallycross competition, they'll be very, very busy this coming fall.
Yeah, and it's going to be interesting to see how many NRX guys were able to get in. Travis has told me he'd like to do some. Typically, Scott Speed does whatever he can. I'm still working a little bit, admittedly, on the entry list for Wednesday. We've had so much going on that I'm still, searching for some of these drivers and, making sure that we know what the entry list is going to be so we can actually tell people in advance. That's been one of the things that's always been crazy about All-Stars is you're tracking down all these guys' different schedules, right? All these different drivers. In GRC back years and years ago, our event production team used to call it herding cats, because that's kind of what it is to get everybody just to get together for driver intros. So you can imagine how crazy it is sometimes to get these lineups together. But man, you think about some of the lineups that we've had. Where else are you going to see a Formula One veteran turned Rallycross driver / NASCAR / everything like Scott Speed line up next to an NHRA champion like Ron Capps, line up next to a professional off-road star like Andrew Carlson, line up to NASCAR drivers like Garrett Smithley and Parker Kligerman, line up next to IndyCar drivers like Connor Daly, James Hinchcliffe. I mean, line up next to Bucky Lassick and his 20 X Games medals, including one in Rallycross. They weren't all in skateboarding. He got one with us at X Games Austin a few years back. It's this cool lineup. It almost feels like Mad Libs, right? Putting together some of these lineups. And we're going to have some more popular Twitch streamers on this time around. We're going to diversify that a little bit. Some real future stars in motorsports, in various off-road and open wheel and GT realms. you know, it's really just this great melting pot, to me, of what iRacing is as a whole, right? Just all these different drivers from all these different racing backgrounds, all these different spots in the world, all coming together to just kind of bang doors in a fun-first environment with those IRX All-Star races. I can't wait to see who shows up. I think I'm going to be as surprised as everybody else is who tunes in as to who shows up over the course of this year. But, you know, we did move the series to Wednesdays in part because some of those drivers told us, hey, if it's a midweek race, I got a much better chance of being able to make it. So I'm hoping those are going to be some of the strongest fields that we've ever had for the IRX All-Star races, and looking forward to seeing who wins all of those. And we'll track a points championship. It's going to have a lot of drops, obviously, but we'll see who can string the best handful of those races together and earn bragging rights.
It's going to be great, Chris. Thanks for all your work, and looking forward to seeing the series kick off this coming Wednesday from the World Center of Racing.
Absolutely. Thanks again for having me, and like I said, thank you to our sponsors. Thank you to Yokohama for everything that they've done. Thank you to Dirtfish. I came equipped, and I've got my iRacing Year of the iRacer shirt on from last year, but as far as I'm concerned, every year from now on is Year of the iRacer.
I like the sound of that. Well, Paul, we are just days away then, 2 days, and we will start our championship quest once more. And we didn't really get to talk too much about the preseason thunder that these drivers just had about an hour ago, the feature race, 10 laps in action. And I tell you what, the king of Daytona has stepped away from iRacing competition. Mitchell de Jong, champion, and indeed could have been a two-time champion in 2019 if not for his own commitment outside of sim racing. But last year, Joni Ollikainen became the first driver not named de Jong to win here in Daytona International Speedway, and he won once more in this preseason showdown. We said Esports were going to be shown. Could they show that right off the bat here as we get going just this Wednesday?
I mean, you never write them off, that's for sure. You know, they look really good today. They really did. But you know, all of the teams, you know, especially the Team Subaru, also Team Yokohama, RLL by Apex as well. They all look really strong out there. We can't really say much from a pre-season race. We don't know whether people are just holding something in their back pocket and just holding back for that first round of the championship. But it's a great opportunity for those drivers to get some practice in a competitive environment like it was today for them. So, I mean, Chris has said it all. I'm really looking forward to it.
Can't wait for the All-Stars as well. And it's not a preseason show if we don't get some predictions at least under our belt. So it's time for the tough questions before we say goodbye. Series champion. I mean, there's only one thing that matters when it comes to a world championship. Who walks away after 9 races being able to call themselves champion? I'm going to give the floor to you first, Paul, because I need to think about this just a little bit longer.
I think after not quite winning it last year, I think John Robertson is going to be a really good, strong shout for this year. I think that being on his back there, he'll want to just get the first opportunity to win the championship out the way, and I think he could be a really strong contender this season.
I'm going to go slightly different. I'm going to go with Tommy Holman. 2 victories last year, coming off a title in the real world in the Rally X Nordics and the Supercar Lights Championship there. I think he's going to be one to watch, but his teammate could be very much the one to pip him away from that title. But we will find out. We will see the championship start this coming Wednesday. For the entire team at iRacing, my name is Arjuna Kangipati. I've been joined by Paul Smith with Tyler Maction controlling all of the action in today's preseason show. We will see you this Wednesday. 9 races to decide the 2021 iRacing Rallycross World Champion presented by Yokohama. Don't miss any of it. It's all live on iRacing Live. Until then, until we reach the Daytona International Speedway, so long and goodbye.